This is a straight psychological operation. Unfortunately, many people believe that this dynamic is related to politics or it's related to law, but it is actually a word game. And so, what are people really talking about when they are talking about this DEI purge? Look at the word DEI for a moment. What exactly do you see? When some individuals see images such as this, they are led to believe that this is a representation of this DEI. Alternately, some believe that this is a representation of DEI. And then there are others that believe that this is a representation of DEI. And now we have all of these individuals, these institutions, these corporations, these government entities, these political entities that believe that this DEI construct is coming out of this United States Supreme Court case, this Harvard case. However, if you search through this very lengthy case, you're not going to find the letters DEI together. You're not even going to find the construct of diversity, equity, and inclusion together in this particular case. And many people are not even aware of where this construct is even coming from. However, what is important is that you're not going to see DEI as a construct, a cohesive construct in this particular case that is being presented as the impetus for the current governmental actions and the impetus for all of these different corporations suddenly becoming anti-DEI within the past 3 weeks. And so while individuals are chanting basically anti-DEI, what's interesting is that many people seem to not recognize what DEI is all about. You don't see periods in between the D, the E, and the I. And so this is another dynamic that is similar to a number of dynamics like this, but it's similar to the AI situation that we just examined. And so notably, DEI is something that should have been coming to the attention of clergy, politicians, and individuals who are identifying themselves as Christians. As soon as they see DEI, something should register. Why hasn't it registered? And why are these often the entities that are basically chanting anti-DEI in many instances, particularly those individuals who consider themselves to be a little bit more conserved when it comes to political leanings? Why don't they know what it is that they are seeing when they are seeing DEI or anti-DEI or DEI purge? What is it that they are seeing? And why aren't they seeing what they should be automatically seeing? And I'm specifically talking about individuals who are identifying themselves as Christians. It seems like it's really cool to be anti-DEI during these times. And so what is it that's so cool to so many people? DEI as a word, since it's presented in that way, DEI means Deus. Now, we've been talking about Deus, so you should clearly understand what is going on when individuals are posting about or they are creating all sorts of rhetoric about DEI. You should automatically know what's really going on in terms of the symbolism, in terms of the symbology. You should know what's going on when you see all of this anti-DEI rhetoric, as if it is the most important thing in the world at this time. Every time you turn around, pretty much, there's someone talking about DEI. But what's notable is the anti-DEI focus. and the failure to acknowledge what DEI actually spells. And so, in essence, all of this anti DEI talk is anti God talk. And the reason it is anti God talk is very simple. DEI means God. That's the translation in Latin. Hence, the expectation that clergy would clearly, automatically see this, and that individuals who are identifying themselves as Christians, this is something that should have jumped out at them also. Now, there are so many psychological operations in play right now, and there are generally psychological operations going on and on and on from day to day. However, we are being treated to a number of them simultaneously at the current time. And this is one of them. And so people are being inundated with this whole DEI construct and this desire for these various entities to purge DEI. So you see here this House.gov bill that would purge DEI from the government. When looking at it this way, that word is day. DEI is day. And so in terms of looking at this, what you are seeing is bill that would purge God from the government. And here you see the U.S. Department of Education takes action to eliminate day. In other words, U.S. Department of Education takes action to eliminate God. Here you see another entry. Cassidy Vance colleagues introduce bill to end all day God. Here's another entry. J.D. Vance and Michael Cloud introduce bill to eliminate day or God. And people are really serious about this anti-day stance. It indicates here anti-day bills clear both the Mississippi House and the Senate. Again, this is simply the word God. Here we have another one coming from Indiana. Indiana Senate okays anti-God bill that takes aim at state agencies and schools. Now, clearly, someone somewhere has to know when they see this day exactly what it is. It's not that difficult to spell out diversity, equity, and inclusion if that is what someone is attempting to communicate. However, that is not what is spelled out. And in fact, you don't even, again, have those periods in between the D, the E, and the I. And again, this day or this DEI is not a legal construct. Continuing on with this little operation, West Point disbands cadet clubs following Trump's anti-day order. Army Women's Museum website temporarily offline over Trump's anti-day order. And you see this repeatedly with respect to a number of government entities at this time. They are extremely anti-day at the moment. This one indicates the state's anti-day legislation may impact higher education. So in other words, these states, and there's a listing of these states, anti-God legislation may impact higher education. Continuing on with this Guardian article. What is day? Interesting. What is day and why is Trump opposed to it? In other words, what is God and why is Trump opposed to it? American Alliance of Museums, a growing backlash to day. In other words, a growing backlash to God. And here we have the Goldwater Institute, and it has day in quotation marks. Okay, so it says day should have no part of classrooms, boardrooms. In other words, this thing that's in quotation marks is essentially God should have no part of classrooms, boardrooms. And see, here's the problem. Day existed before this abbreviation of DEI. And so day was already in existence when this DEI construct was created or recreated. And here you see this particular episode of this daily show with Charlemagne suggesting that there's a problem with day. As with everything, you should always go back behind the person that's teaching or sharing something and make sure that what they are saying is accurate. And so when you finish with this, feel free to go back and check to make sure that what we are looking at here is accurate related to day. Okay, so what you see here is this etymology of day. It indicates it's an inflection of deus. It is an inflection of deus, okay? And deus is what? Deus is God. Day is God. And here you see it again. This is from the Latin deus, and it indicates day. And the entry is God, God with the big G. Although it is clear that this could sometimes refer to God with the little g. And here you go with the translation coming out of the Italian into the English. And day is God, or gods again. And here you see additional etymology information related to day. And you see it in the context of the word deity or deity. And you can see here the origin is Latin, referring to God. Then going into the Greek with the construct. And so with respect to the Latin, you have the de. And then with respect to the Greek, you have the the. And so with respect to this day, you have this construct of deity. And so clearly most people are familiar with deity. And when they see it, they see very clearly the root or the foundation of this construct of deity. And again, de refers to God, or this idea of the divine status or quality or nature of the creator, this supreme being in terms of monotheistic religion, such as very specifically Christianity. And so individuals who are Christian should have picked up on this very quickly, that this is what was being indicated in all of this rhetoric about DEI. And here you see deity or deity again, indicating this idea of divinity or the essential nature of God. And here you see additional etymology information related to day. And it's the same that you see when you look at the construct of the for the most part. And here you see these various transliterations of day. In the Greek, delos, meaning clear. In the Latin, dies or day, deus again, or God. And we're talking about day with the D-A-Y. Clearly, some individuals who are Catholic are familiar with the organization known as Opus Dei. And so you can clearly see here that Dei is DEI. And Opus Dei is referring to the work of God. Here we see another dynamic with respect to day, the Imago Dei. And this is the image of God. And many people have seen this before. But again, as you can see, this is something that should jump out at individuals with respect to those who are identifying as Christian. And here we have the construct of day embedded in the construct of the thee in the Greek in the Strongs. And so you see this thee or the construct again is related to deity or deity, the Godhead, and divine nature. And here you see that the also referring to deity again. And why would you expect an individual identifying as a Christian to automatically see this? Because this construct is also related to the idea of Christ or the anointed one. And here again, you see theos and deity, indicating God. And here's a reiteration of day, meaning the Godhead. And for all of those who are of an Abrahamic tradition, you see this entry here in Cambridge for deist or deist, someone who believes in a single God who created the world. So we have individuals who are extremely excited about the purging of the day. They are extremely excited about getting rid of day. They are overjoyed about scrubbing all sorts of sources clean of day and not having any representations of day in various workforces and various entities, institutions, governmental organizations. People are just very, very excited about all of this without stopping to think about the totality of this DEI construct and what it also means in addition to this idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so day has been presented as the enemy of the state, essentially. But what is behind all of this? Because there are multiple messages going on here. There are multiple interpretations. Because if someone in another language sees anti-DEI, they are going to see anti-day and they are going to see anti-God. And since this is almost a new motto for the U.S., there is something very specific being communicated about what is so important to the U.S. And at this point in time, apparently being anti-day is supreme.